الحمد لله رب العالمين وأصلي وأسلم على المبعوث رحمة للعالمين بعثه الله شاهدا ومبشرا ونذيرا وداعيا إلى الله بإذنه والسراج منيرا. If everyone inshallah ta'ala can settle down, the reminder will be short inshallah ta'ala. I'm not going to go on till Fajr. So please bear that in mind inshallah ta'ala for both our brothers and sisters, elders and youngsters. A short reminder bi'idhnillah ta'ala that we can all take away with us bi'idhnillah al-bari. Before I give the reminder, I just want to say Jazakallahu khairan to the masjid for inviting me over. This is the first time I've come to Sutton. I didn't even know that it existed. That Sutton existed or that Muslims lived here. So I'm very, very happy to be here. Jazakumullah khairan. Also, I want to say how much of an amazing mic system that you guys have. Some of the masjids that I went to, the mic system was horrible, horrendous. And it makes you extremely, extremely exhausted. One thing I do want to suggest though, I don't know if the community is going to accept this or not, to allow the echo, right? The Imam said, Jazakallah khair. As soon as I came here today, I asked for them to up the echo a little bit. I'll tell you guys why. The Imam, without the echo, will suffer. You may not realize it, but the Imam is suffering, right? Because he has to raise his voice a bit more, and it takes a lot out of you, requires a lot of effort. But then they said to me, some of the people, they got a little bit upset and they don't want it. But it's fine anyway, inshallah ta'ala. Antum titfahamun. You guys can fight it out and eventually get to an agreement. But this is just my humble suggestion. It really helps, and I think it sounds better anyway. My brothers and my sisters, I want to give you guys a short reminder. Every single person here, every person here wants a better life. Am I wrong to say that? We want a happy, content, satisfying life. Right? We want excellence in this world before the hereafter. I want to make it very, very clear, my beloved brothers and sisters, we will not be able to acquire the happiness and the satisfaction that we are crying out for, except by doing the right thing. Except by doing the right thing. At times we have this great urge to acquire the glitters and the glamours of this world. Right? We so badly want it because we see someone else, maybe driving a nice car, or they have a nice house. And upon seeing this, it enters into our heart, and then there's this burning desire to acquire it. أليس كذلك يا إخوان؟ بلي. Point being, my brothers and my sisters, this can actually what? Drive you to destruction. What is my evidence for it? Yesterday I talked about in Chiro, I was in Manchester. Oh no, I was in, where was I yesterday? I was in Cambridge. I'm getting my nights and my days mixed up. We've just been traveling up and down the country. I told them about a commandment in Surah Taha. How Allah commanded His Prophet to ask for an increase in something. Does anyone know? Huh? He said, Rabbi shrah li sadri. La, there's something else. Jazakallah khair though. Huh? Ahsantum. Ibn Hajar mentions that Allah did not instruct or command His Prophet to ask for an increase in anything other than knowledge. Rabbi zidni ilma. It is a dua, inshaAllah ta'ala, from today. We're going to be, right, consistently be praying it. Without knowledge, wallahi, my brothers and my sisters, أَوَ مَنْ كَانَ مَيْتًا فَأَحْيَيْنَاهُ وَجَعَلْنَا لَهُ نُورًا يَمْشِي بِهِ فِي النَّاسِ. You are dead without knowledge. We are no longer breathing, figuratively speaking. You're alive, but you're spiritually dead and empty. A lot of these youngsters, they will tell you all about these YouTubers, right? They know all of them. I collected videos of them all talking about how depressed they are, how unsatisfied and how uncontent they are. Anyways, I don't want to go into that. There is also there's a commandment and there is what? A prohibition. right at the end, Allah instructs His Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to lower his gaze. To lower his gaze from what? A lot of the time when we mention lowering gaze, that which comes to mind is what? Lowering your gaze from the opposite gender, not to look at women. Sah? But even today's day and age, you shouldn't be staring at men as well. Right? But the point being, my brothers and my sisters, lowering your gaze from the opposite gender. This is mentioned in Surah Nur. This is mentioned in Surah Nur. You guys are laughing. I get cases all the time. Right? Someone who feels attracted and he asks for advice. It's the same advice. Well, with one of the advice that we give them. Ala kulli hal. That's why also today I stopped at وَأَنَّهُ خَلَقَ الزَّوْجَيْنِ الذَّكَرَ وَالْأُنثَى. Allah Azza wa Jalla, He says that He has created what? Partners of men and women. I stopped just so, you know. Point being, my brothers and my sisters, Ya Jama'at al-Khair, He told His Prophet to lower his gaze from what? From the glitters and the glamours of this world. وَلَا تَمُدَّنَّ عَيْنَيْكَ إِلَى مَا مَتَّعْنَا بِهِ أَزْوَاجًا مِّنْهُمْ زَهْرَةَ الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا لِنَفْتِنَهُمْ فِيهِ وَرِزْقُ رَبِّكَ خَيْرٌ وَأَبْقَى. Do not gaze at the glitters and the glamours of this world. Why though? Why? The Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam didn't live in this world for dunya. La. It's a lesson to us. Think about it, and here comes the catch. A car drives by and you keep staring at it. And you keep on staring at it. You so badly want it, and there's this burning desire inside of you now to acquire it. But because you don't have the means, you now revert to haram. It could be interest. It could be whatever else. You do the wrong thing to acquire it. And then guess what happens? You have started a war with Allah. Right? فَأْذَنُوا بِحَرْبٍ مِّنَ اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ. You've just started a war with Allah. That's just one example, my brothers and my sisters. One example. You have started a war with Allah Azza wa Jal. Look how it all started. Look where it's going at this moment in time. And then perhaps you may end up losing just about everything that you acquired. I knew someone that had 7 houses, halal way. But then the 8th one, it was too good to turn down. Right? And wallah, he ended up losing all of these 7 houses that he had. And that's because he started a war with Allah. He didn't even need it. You need another house. Just being greedy. Too good to turn down, but because he didn't have money, right? He put all of his money into what? Assets. He ended up losing everything. And he lost his wife as well, and his children. His life just went downhill from then on. Shahid min al-kalam, my brothers and my sisters. I'm mentioning all of this because I want to get to a point. We all desperately want a satisfying, content lifestyle. Right? We will not be able to do that in the wrong way. Or achieve that in the wrong way. So I'm going to mention to you guys 2 passages from the Quran. One pertaining to the 7 sleepers in Surah Al-Kahf. English people, they call them that. Right? Those in Surah Al-Kahf that we read every Friday. What does Kahf mean? Cave. Ahsantum. The chapter of the cave. Are you brothers and sisters with me? Long story cut short. We are told about these individuals. We'll go off with the number 7. They were 7 young men. How did they meet one another, my brothers and my sisters? The Mufassirun, they mentioned this. In their time, they used to have these shirki, idol worshipping festivals yearly, annually. So all of their families went to this festival and they were carrying out all sorts of shirk, calling out to idols, and that which is of course displeasing to Allah. It destroys our monotheism, right? These young men, they felt extremely uncomfortable. The fitrah, the natural disposition. So one by one, they started leaving the festival. And by the way, they didn't know each other. Huh? One by one, they are what? Leaving the festival, and they stood outside. They then began to feel extremely paranoid. Why are they all standing outside? Are they here to catch me out or to snitch on me? Paranoia. They're all looking at each other. One was brave enough to speak to the other, to get an answer as to why are you here? And then subhanallah, as they began to speak, they realized they are all on the same page. Right? All of them were on the same page. They felt extremely uncomfortable at that which was taking place. So then, it began to spread amongst the people, the community. And it reached the king in their time, who was a tyrannical, barbaric ruler, that these young men, إِنَّهُمْ فِتْيَةٌ آمَنُوا. Allah Azza wa Jal mentions fitya, young men, as a praise. Right? Young people normally tend to be occupied with Allahu, distractions. إِنَّهُمْ فِتْيَةٌ آمَنُوا. They believed in Allah Azza wa Jal. They accepted faith, iman. It reached the king. He brought them over and then began to question them. إِذْ قَامُوا. And then they stood up to him. فقالوا ربنا رب السماوات والأرض لن ندعو من دونه إلها لقد قلنا إذا شططا. Back and forth. They explained to him رب السماوات والأرض, the Lord of the heavens and the earth. We will not invoke anyone except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he gave them an ultimatum. He was a barbaric, right, bloodthirsty, tyrannical ruler. They say his name was Decius, Allahu a'lam, whether that's true or not. He gave them an ultimatum to renegade, to leave their religion. However, they decided that they were going to flee with their religion. Right? And Allah tells us, وَإِذِ اعْتَزَلْتُمُوهُمْ وَمَا يَعْبُدُونَ إِلَّا اللَّهَ فَأْوُوا إِلَى الْكَهْفِ. They isolated themselves from these people who were associating partners of Allah Azza wa Jal. And they went towards what? The cave. Right? فَأْوُوا إِلَى الْكَهْفِ يَنْشُرْ لَكُمْ رَبُّكُمْ مِنْ رَحْمَتِهِ وَيُهَيِّئْ لَكُمْ مِنْ أَمْرِكُمْ مِرْفَقًا. After they done the right thing, and this is the point that I want to get at. They done the right thing, Allah showered them with mercy. And He took control of their affair. He took control of their affair. Allah Azza wa Jalla took it into His own hands now to look after them. Showered them with mercy. This is when they done the right thing. And later on, my brothers and my sisters, because they went to sleep, right? And the sleep lasted for, Ahsant. Over 300 years, brothers and sisters. And when they woke up, they said, we're hungry, can someone go and get us some food? Right? And when they entered into the city, the place looks different. And the people were surprised to see these individuals looking like this. Because they used to hear stories back in the day that there was a group of young men. It became like something you would hear in a storybook. They fled and they were never seen after that. Fleeing away, running away from that tyrannical, barbaric, bloodthirsty ruler in their time. They ran away with their religion. Shahid min al-kalam. After that they lived an honorable life. Mu'azzazun, mukarramun. Allahu Akbar. Quickly, my brothers and my sisters, Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam. Also Allah Azza wa Jalla tells us similar wordings. وَإِذِ اعْتَزَلْتُمُوهُمْ, and over there is فَلَمَّا اعْتَزَلَهُمْ وَمَا يَعْبُدُونَ إِلَّا اللَّهِ. Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam was tested with a father, again, idol worship. And he kept on giving him da'wah. This is mentioned in Surah Maryam that you guys read the other day. Ya abati, ya abati, ya abati, ya abati. 4 times. Oh Father, oh Father, oh Father. In a very gentle, soft way. To give da'wah to his father who was an idol worshipper, doing shirk. Eventually, my brothers and my sisters, his father threatened him. لَأَرْجُمَنَّكَ, I'm going to stone you. Right? And then he decided, now enough is enough, I'm going to isolate myself. When he did that, فَلَمَّا اعْتَزَلَهُمْ وَمَا يَعْبُدُونَ مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ وَهَبْنَا لَهُ إِسْحَاقَ وَيَعْقُوبَ. Allah says, we granted him, right? What? Ishaq. We gifted him with Ishaq. And from Ishaq came Who? Yaqub alayhi salatu wasalam. This is when, after he done the right thing. There are some common features, or in mathematical terms, common denominator between the two stories. What is it? They both done the right thing. Also, common denominator, or a common feature between the two, they were young in age. Number 3, they were both calling to a tawheed. Right? They were giving da'wah in order to guide the people. Sometimes we see people, my brothers and my sisters, and it never crosses our minds. Non-Muslims around us. Have we ever even thought about, let me go and give them da'wah? Earlier, our brother Yusuf was telling me how they give out biryani. You guys know what biryani is? You do, right? Why is everyone silent then? Like, I saw no emotions.
They've eaten biryani.
Huh?
They've eaten biryani.
They've eaten biryani, that's why. Giving out biryani to the neighbors is a form of da'wah. And then perhaps softening them up or buttering them up. Give a mushaf, give it a read. Especially right now. Huh? Some of you guys seen me do a podcast with Sneeko. A couple of maybe months ago, he was mocking Islam. I remember I came across this video, him mocking, and I made dua, Ya Allah, guide this individual. Maybe Allah accepted my dua or someone else's dua for him. Some are in a very, very crazy place and they're crying out for inspiration. Give them, chat to them, a kalima tayyiba, small little kalima. Right? So all of these common features. They were young, they called to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? And both of them, they left something for the sake of Allah. They even say about these 7 sleepers, they were from very rich families. Very, very rich families. We know the story of Hercules, right? Herakl. He didn't want to accept Islam because out of fear of him losing his position in society. It's mentioned in hadith, Herakl. In Arabic they say Herakl. He didn't want to lose it. Right? In contrast to Najashi, who embraced Islam. And he was ready to, right? He was ready for the backlash. They were from rich, wealthy families, athriya. But they left it all for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal, brothers and sisters. Whatever haram, whatever evil you are involved in, some of you may need to leave your boyfriend. I'm talking to the sisters, not you guys, huh? Some of you guys may need to what? Leave your girlfriends. The bushra needs to be put to a hold. I was in Crawley. Wallahi, a brother came up to me after the election. He said, I'm stuck in this relationship. What do you think? She keeps telling me, I'm going to speak to my dad. I'm going to speak to my dad. But I keep doing, I'm guilty as well. He's saying, I'm guilty. Right? He goes, I gave her till Eid. If she doesn't get back to me, it's going to be hard. I'm going to have to leave her. I was like, yes, ahsant. Right? It could be a haram job that you're involved in, that you may need to what? Let go of. Right? Are you brothers and sisters with me? And no, Allah Azza will never, ever leave you disappointed. You know my favorite hadith is? Does anyone know? Maybe mention it, you saw it on Instagram. What's my favorite hadith? Huh? Huh? No, that's not my favorite. That's not hadith, Shaykh. That's a quote. Ahmed ibn Harb, but that's a good one as well. Huh? Ahsant. Jazakallah khair. What's your name, akhi? Yusuf, mashallah, watch his videos. The Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he said, you don't leave something for the sake of Allah, being conscious of Him, except that He will give you that which is better. Except that He will give you that which is, wallahi, this hadith changed my life. And it has changed the lives of so many. It was, I think, one of the first hadiths that someone taught me. I make dua for him, but I can't remember who he was. And inshallah, I guess the road every time I mention it to someone. It's a hadith. I don't want to talk about myself, my brothers and my sisters, but just know, it will change your life. I'll mention this story, then I'm done. Because I have to go to Ilford, I have to lead there in a bit. There was a brother that came up to me. He used to come to my classes from Leicester. He was earning 18. Actually, no, I've already told that story. I'll give you guys something better. I just remembered another one. A brother who was my neighbor, his name was Sohail Patel, and his wife. He was an accountant. Right? He was an accountant. Wallahi, they were living in this housing association house. It's the biggest house on the road. Melbourne Road, it's called. I'm not going to give you his address. Right? Biggest house on there. He was an accountant. And he was working for a firm, and he knew what he was doing was actually haram. He came up to me one day and he said, look, I came across this hadith, I've done a bit of research. I realized what I'm doing is not actually halal. And he's coming to me because he needs a push. Right? I told him this hadith, Allah will never abandon you. If you did decide now to leave it, Allah will never abandon you. ماذا حصل? He left his job. Wallahi, he would sit at home. You know, he would say to me, because I was teaching him them some books. I would go to his house, he would say to him, Akhi man, my in-laws are giving me a hard time. They look at me as some sort of bum. That's what they call it, right? I don't know any other word for it. He's always sitting at home doing nothing. What is there? Is there a more respectful term, yani? A louch? Huh? Someone who just sits at home, doesn't do anything. And in the reality of the matter, he's looking for jobs. He's looking for it. I remember he had at a time £4,000. And I was taking him on Hajj. The package was 3,000 something. Because he wanted only a room for himself and his wife, you have to pay a bit more. And then some spending money. That's all he had. And shall I use it for Hajj? Shall I not? Akhi, I said to him, Allah will not abandon you, my brother. You left something for His sake. He comes back. As soon as he comes back from Hajj, gets an email. You and your wife can come and work in Mecca. I visited his house, brothers and sisters. You know, most people that I know that went to teach English abroad, they are either in Jeddah, Riyadh, some fortunate enough to be Medina. I have never come across someone that got a English teaching job in Mecca. Never. Right? Never. And I know a lot of people, guys. Never. Well, I went to his house. They gave them a big house. And he was actually employed by one of the richest guys in Mecca to teach the children in the family. And these children, they would only turn up maybe once a week. So every day, him and his wife, or every other day, they would go to the Kaaba, back and forth, back and forth. The most chilling job you will come across. And they were also earning very good money. Right? Here we pay tax. We work for the government. We all work for the government here. There is no tax. He wasn't paying tax at all. It doesn't stop there, guys. I'm not finished with the story. Wallahi, after a couple of years, he came back. He bought the biggest house on the road. With no loans, nothing. Right? Straight out, bought the house. I put all of this down to my brothers and my sisters. He left it for the sake of Allah. The month of Ramadan, the scene has been set. The doors of Jannah have been swung open. And the doors of hellfire have been slammed shut. It's so much more easier to do the right thing. Do the right thing, my brothers and my sisters. Right? We've only got a couple of days. You know what's sad? In these couple of days, some of us might be preparing the haram we want to do on the day of Eid. Please tell me I'm wrong. I was there once upon a time, guys. Been there, done that, bought a t-shirt, I wore it. On these nights, we are planning which car to hire out, which hotel room to book out, which haram woman to do whatever you want with. Huh? Isn't that true, guys? Let's be honest. Some of you guys are smirking. I'm not going to look at you in the face. I'm going to look up. Right? Huh? Isn't this exactly what happens? Greatest nights of the year, brothers and sisters. There are two kinds of people. I'm going to quickly mention it, and I'm done. This time I'm done. Someone who wants to flip his life around this Ramadan. Ramadan is not just for practicing people. It is for anyone that's looking for inspiration. Even if you're a drug dealer or someone who goes to the club, Ramadan is for you as well. So they come to the masjid, and then people are looking, look, she only wears the hijab in the month of Ramadan. Look at her. هذا ما يصلح. She's using Ramadan as a stepping stone to become better, and you're belittling her, backbiting her on these great nights in the masjid. And a second kind of individual, like the one that we just mentioned, right? He tells his girlfriend, listen, don't talk to me. I'll see you on Eid. Wallahi, I've said this so many, I'm going to say it again. I saw a screenshot last year on Twitter or X. A woman sending a text message to her boyfriend, saying, I don't want to talk to you till the day of Eid. Please don't talk to me, don't message me. And everyone's commenting, MashaAllah. Wonderful, clapping for her. You know the emoji with the claps? Everyone's clapping for her. Is that what Ramadan's for, my brothers and sisters? Even last year, after I gave a khutbah in West London, I'm not going to mention the message name, a brother came up to me and he said, the guy's too shy to ask you, but what he's saying is, he has a lot of guys working for him doing drugs, dealing drugs with him, all the county lines comes under him. He's going to sit in the masjid the whole month of Ramadan. He's got them running around, but he's going to sit in the masjid. And then, on the day of Eid, he's going to invite all of them and make the calculations of how much they made. Is that what Ramadan is about, brothers and sisters? No. The mindset of, I'm going to flip my life around. I'm going to do better after. Yes, you're still going to make mistakes and fall into sins. We all are. I'd be a lie if I said to you, no, I'm going to be sinless after Ramadan. We all have shortcomings. But what is important now, I tell myself, I will stop. And inshallah ta'ala, I will continue this after the month of Ramadan. Don't destroy your Ramadan on the day of Eid. It's easier to tear down a building than to build it. Right? This masjid took probably a long time to build. But if I bring a crane now and smash into it, half an hour will be gone. جزاكم الله خيرا بارك الله فيكم وأحسن الله إليكم. I ask Allah with His names to reunite us in this world upon goodness, and if He doesn't reunite us, to reunite us in the highest part of Al-Jannah. Ameen. جزاكم الله خيرا. سبحانك اللهم بحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. And again, جزاكم الله خيرا to the masjid, our brother Yusuf and the rest of the mashayikh. Brothers, honestly, and sisters, you have wonderful qurra here. Today I discovered that Shaykh Ziyad, we actually read on the same teacher who lives in Egypt. You guys have, mashallah, mashayikh, qurra, benefit from them. Right? When it comes to Quran, you know, fixing our Quran up, our tajweed. Why do you have this opportunity? I know the Shaykh, he came from Kuwait and he probably wants his alone time, but try to get time from him. Huh? Shaykh saying, huh? Allah يحفظك Shaykh. بارك الله فيكم وجزاكم الله خير. Inshallah, I'm going to leave you guys. He said after Eid, not now. Because he's busy revising, you know. جزاكم الله خير. سبحانك اللهم بحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.
Okay, sure.
Give 1 minute, then you
The space in your card go.
otherwise give 2 minutes, then you.
Wait, just wait.